Hi, boys and girls. Today's Tuesday, and it's time for reading. So I hope that you're following along on your slide for Tuesday, though, okay? So by this point, you should have already listened to Mrs. Swiss read aloud and voted for her. And then today we're going to jump right into the RCC lesson, okay? The only video you have to watch for reading is me. Okay. So please open up to page 270 in your RCC book. Pause me if you need a minute. Otherwise, I'm moving on. Okay, so we're going to be reading this passage today. It's called Wildlife Worries. I just want to remind you, our focus for this week is talking about figurative language, which is a way to help us imagine familiar things and events in new and sometimes strange ways, right? We talked about similes, metaphors, and personification, okay? So keep in mind, that's what the questions are going to have to do with after you read this passage with me, okay? So I'm going to read the passage with you out loud, and then you're going to be responsible for completing page 271 and 273, okay? Remember, I don't want you completing it in this document, in the book. I don't want you completing it in the reading book. I want you to complete it on the doc that I posted, okay? The doc is called Tuesday RCC, okay? So when you go to do the questions, please do it in the doc. All right, we're going to read Wildlife Worries. I'm just going to take a minute and get familiar with my text. I notice there's a nice text feature here. It's a picture. This picture is of a moose. And that moose looks pretty big. I think I would be scared if I were in that field and saw him. Okay? Also, this is a good little note. It says, how does the author describe the characters? Reread the story, so it would be after. It says, underline any figurative language that describes the characters, including the moose. So as we do these RCC assignments, it's a good idea for you to be underlining figurative language that you notice. So if you're able to do that at the same time that I read, you can go ahead and underline those things. If you want to go back and reread it and underline after, that works perfect as well. Okay, I want everyone to start in the first paragraph. Please be following along with your eyes because you cannot read if you're not looking at words. And I'm sad I haven't been able to hear your beautiful reading lately as much. Okay, so when my Aunt Cheryl and Uncle Don invited Mom and me to go hiking with them along the north shore of Lake Superior, we couldn't wait to go. It wasn't until we got there that I found out that the woods are home to some serious wildlife. Wolves, bobcats, coyotes, and bears. Although I was excited, I was also terrified of dangerous animals. Paragraph 2. An amazing waterfall near the park entrance swept away my fears at first. Do you hear that? Swept away my fears at first. Did the waterfall actually sweep away her fears? No, it did not. So that would be personification, okay? Because we're giving a waterfall human-like qualities by saying the waterfall was sweeping her away. Okay, now I'm at next here. Next, we hiked a trail that snaked upriver through a gold mine of maple, birch, pine, and spruce. As we walked on, though, I felt myself sinking back into a black bog of dread. Ooh. Do you hear how that sounds really negative and not good? A black bog of dread? That's figurative language, and that's giving me some feelings about this story. I'm starting to worry that maybe something bad is going to happen to her. And just then, in a shallow, glassy bend of the river up ahead, I saw an animal I wanted to see. Look, I said, a moose. I'm going to feed it. Aunt Cheryl grabbed my shoulder with an iron hand. Was her hand actually made of iron? No. It's saying that her hand was really strong, okay? Nikki, stop now, she said quietly. We all climbed to some rocks high above the river with an eagle's nest view of the moose. Aunt Cheryl explained to me that a bull moose topped the list as one of the most dangerous wild animals in North America, and that it was more likely for a human to be hurt by a moose in these parts than a wolf or a bear. Ooh. So a bull moose means it's a boy. So male mooses are very, very dangerous. It felt strange. I'm on paragraph 4. It felt strange, after all my misplaced fears, to discover that this beautiful animal that looked as tame as a cow back home had to be treated with caution. Ooh, I hear a simile. As tame as a cow back home. Okay? So tame means calm and controlled. So it sounds like maybe this girl is from the South, maybe. She might live on like a farm or something. So she might have cows on her farm, and you can go up to a cow as long as your parents are there or something, but cows are usually safe, right? So this girl is saying she is very used to those safe cows at home. She's not used to seeing an animal like this moose that she has to treat with such caution. Okay? So that's a simile. Now I'm at I decided. I decided that before our next trip, I was going to do a little homework about the animals here and trade my wildlife worries for, what should I call it? Wildlife wonder. Okay. All right, after that read through, you might want to do another read through of your own. You could underline some of the figurative language you notice, okay? And then you're going to go into your Tuesday RCC doc, and you're going to complete the questions that I typed up, okay? There is a short response question. I put a little checklist of what needs to be included in the short response. If you write one sentence, I'm going to send it back to you. Please make sure you read my checklist, which tells you need a topic sentence, 3 supporting details, a closing sentence, and I want you to be using transition words, okay? So include that in your response, please, before you submit it to me. That short response is about the simile, as tame as a cow back home, okay? So we did talk about it a little bit. So you should be familiar with what that simile means to the girl. All right? Best of luck. Let me know if you need any questions.